So, Alex, 40 years in this apartment on the Upper West Side of New York City. You've seen New York City change and the people come and go.
Yes.
We can't even count how many channeling events you had here and how many people from all over the world who have come here. And for myself, my personal experiences, I've never gotten to really share that with you. I'm sure a lot of people have interesting experiences. Someone who I quote unquote randomly met waited a year to tell me about you. And when they finally told me about you, I said, why didn't you tell me this a year ago? I could have gone to this guy. He could have helped me. And he said, no, now you're ready to experience channeling. And I said, what is channeling? And he said, well, spirit guides take over his body and speak through him. And at that point, I envisioned things floating off the table, your head, some guy's head spinning around. I didn't know what to expect. And I was, of course, intrigued. And I said, are you telling me this guy does this in his house? I was really blown away by the idea, but not skeptical. And I just went, you tell me there's a pink elephant I'm going to go see. Let's go. And I came here, and the first thing that struck me was, of course, the reverence and the respect that people were showing that this is a sacred experience. It wasn't some psychic sideshow. And I sat there and I intently watched you go into trance. And as a New Yorker, looking to see if this guy's acting, I'll know. And as the guy came into your body, and they began to speak and give messages around the room, personal messages to everyone. Now, I have never even heard of, and to this day, I don't know any trance channels that will do a room full of people regularly giving individual messages. They might take 3 or 4 questions, but they're not doing 30 people like you do consistently for 40 years. And I said to myself, when I heard the wisdom coming out, I said, well, this guy is the greatest actor I've ever seen in my life. There's nobody compares to this man. He's just, forget Daniel Day-Lewis and Al Pacino. This is the best right here. Or this is real, because I don't care even if he can't be an actor, because the wisdom that's coming through and the knowledge and the psychic messages, that was this 27-year-old's opinion. Then when it came around to me, everybody got a great message, uplifting, empowering. I got the scolding and the spanking that I was doing all these things wrong. I thought, wow, am I getting spanked here? I thought I was going to be praised. I'm doing so great and I'm on the right path. And hearing messages that I didn't want to hear, even though there were very poignant psychic truths that there is no way anyone could have known, because I had never even expressed them to anyone, not a soul. And you were your guide. You were telling them back to me. And it was uplifting and it was sobering. It was sobering.
That's the point.
I feel like a lot of psychics give messages and people get intoxicated from the messages. And then I came here and I realized I was already intoxicated by my own thoughts, ideas, opinions, and adjustments.
Absolutely.
So I was told at the age of 27, interesting because that's the number 9 for all of you and the beginning of a cycle. I was told that my life was going to take a spiritual path and I would be doing similar work one day. I come there to hear about how my band was going to get a record deal, and the girl I wanted to be with was going to be with me, things that a 27-year-old thinks about. And this guy just told me, no. They said, your life is going to take a spiritual path. And then after you have spent some time on the spiritual path, you can do your art again. Now, by the way, to me, that was, he must be in about 6 or 9 months. I got to be on a spiritual path for about 6 or 9 months. I'll meditate every day and then get that record deal.
Yeah.
I came to Circle for 9 years before I had any sort of psychic or spiritual revelation that was meaningful to me. It took my mom dying, it took my brother dying, it took a close friend committing suicide. I had to be taken through life. The spirit guides were not there to tell me that these events were going to happen. They knew they were going to happen. And they knew that there was only going to be one way for me to learn, probably, was that I had to learn through pain and struggle. Since then, what I learned is we can learn from joy and delight and reasoning and surrender. So what I learned from you and from your guides and from you as a human and then from you as a channel has been to surrender.
Absolutely.
That has been the greatest gift you've given me. And because you taught me to surrender, all right, we end.
Absolutely. We say, let go and let God. The other one we say, I learned this in 12-step programs because I had a lot of things I had to deal with. But I had to get what you call spanked. I had to get the car wash.
Yeah.
The thing is that sobering up, because one goes into a kind of fantasy land of all possibilities, which has nothing to do with reality at all. And the secret of life is to understand what it really is, who you are, what you are, why you are, and how you're going to proceed. And the sobering process has not always sat well with every one of my students. Some were willing to sober up, and others just willing to say, well, you know. And there always will be a certain number of people who think, well, the teacher, I thought he was good, but maybe he's not really that good because it didn't come out the way I wanted, and da-da-da-da. And every person who is a teacher is going to realize that a person who will not take personal responsibility is always going to blame the teacher, is always going to blame somebody else. So as teachers, it's not that we don't read our bad reviews, but we're perfectly aware of who wrote them and why they wrote them and why they said what they said about us. And if we go into this looking for appreciation and to be adored and loved and worshipped, that's the wrong profession. I think also that the sooner we sober up, the sooner we see truth for what it is. And there's an old saying that says the only way out of something is through it. You can't just walk away from your issues, your problems. Your life is what it is because it is a lesson. And we're here to learn how to solve the problems. That's why our teachers used to write the problems on the board and make us solve them. So God gives us problems so that we can become stronger by learning how to solve. Not by getting someone else to solve it for us, but by solving it ourselves. So independence of the soul, which is what all healthy humans must develop. In that way, not dependent on others, we are dependent on ourselves, though we can be reliant on certain people for certain things, and we learn who is reliable and who is not. And we know when we're reliable and when we're not. And we have to look carefully into the realm of, the old saying was, man's wants and desires are many, but his needs are few. We have to go from want and desire, because Buddha said desire was the seed of all misery. And what you desire is probably, to live on bonbons for the rest of something. I mean, we all want something wonderful. Sure. And this shows itself when we look at Christmas and the desire for endless presents and gifts and all this stuff that's going to make us happy. And then we say, why in the hell did I ever buy that in the first place or whatever? So what we have to distinguish is our need, our soul's need to feel like we are learning and getting better and stronger. As long as you can feel that you are getting better and stronger, mostly stronger. Stronger is better than better. Better is evidenced by strength. That your soul strength and your willingness to deal with life on its terms show that you are advancing on the very reason you're here, which is to be strong, not to be weak. So, as far as teachers are concerned, you can only teach someone who wants to learn. If they don't want to learn, they will not be good students. And we also have to learn to say to some people, no, I don't think you're ready to learn yet. You have not come to the point of taking responsibility for what you do. So there's also the time in which people can learn things. Some people come to spiritual work early, like children, and they know it from the earliest days. And some people not until midlife or even elderly. It's never too late. I know I was always saying how there's two liking operatic music. In Italian, there's one word that appears a lot in Italian. It's very tragic. It says, "È tardi, è tardi." It's too late. It's never too late. It's never too late. But it's always like, oh, I missed it. It's never going to happen. Don't fall for that. The other word in Italian is basta, which is enough. Stop. We're not going to do this anymore. That's the end of that. I will not go further there. Very healthy. I like the body movements too. When you stick your hands out, say basta. And the other one, I suppose, is la commedia finita. Like the comedy is over, the play is over, the drama is over. And so I think that there are people who like to live dramatic lives. They like to go for the big deal. They like to go for, it's got to be big, it's got to be grand, it's got to be dramatic, and it's got to shower them with money and praise and whatever. These are the people who are going to be the losers because they have everything to lose. People who start with a humbler view of life say, well, I don't have much to lose. Actually, I have a lot to gain, you know. And when you are in that space, when you think I have a lot to gain, you're more grateful. And that idea of saying one should count one's own blessings first before one is jealous or envious of others. Because envy is one of the 7 deadly sins. So, and I didn't make that up either, but the fact is that when we cannot compare, we used to say compare and despair. The minute you start comparing yourself to others, you always find that someone's got a little better than you. Bad thinking. So, all right. The nature of philosophy, which means the love of thinking, is the desire to learn and to know more by thinking and to reviewing what we do. And that's the ideal student who not only thinks and learns from the teacher, but also learns how to think for him or herself and has that capacity to pass that on to others. So I feel that, yes, it's not always an easy road, but if it's a hard road, it's hard because you can master it. So that's what I want to say about channeling, and what makes us want to be channels is that if you have suddenly a wearing of a truth and you feel like, oh my God, this is such a wonderful thought, you want to share it with others. Even if you're not the person who's doing the channeling, at least even in a conscious state, you want to say, I had a meditation, I had this wonderful thought, like spiritual guide or someone came to me, I'm so-and-so from another period of time or whatever, doesn't matter. But the idea is someone gave me this to give it to you also. So behind every channel is has to be a natural generosity. Has to be. Or you'll never make a good channel. And I've known some who failed because they did not have this generosity. And they've always been angry, and they always have felt the spirit didn't give them enough and didn't get, everything was not enough for them because they were always counting what was in their hands. I'm open to questions on this subject. I mean, anything you want to say.
Alex, this giving that you're talking about every day as a channel, I think about it. I think it's always playing in the back of my mind about the energy that I put out as a channel or as a teacher, and the experiences that I've had with thousands of people at this point now, of where I felt at times drained,
Yeah.
at times where I didn't want to do it, at times where I looked around and said, what's the point? They're not getting it. And that's where I had to do my own searching. It was saying to myself, well, the channeling is providing a life for me, and I believe in it. And do they need to get it the way that I got it? Am I getting it the way I'm supposed to be getting it? It always, when I ask the question about other people, I ask the question back to myself. And what I had found is that the thing that has always made me feel better was gratitude. Going back, gratitude.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people have thanked you over the years and countless times, but you changed so many lives. You have altered the course of lives where you set the person on the right course, sometimes without you even knowing it. There's things that you've said in passing that people remember. But for me, it has been the messages that you've channeled, but it's also the love that you bring to it, the calmness, the peace that you bring to it, the humor that you bring. That has taught us so much. And I know that I can speak for all of your students who really been impacted by you, that we thank you for being on the planet. We thank you for being with us. You have no idea how lost we would be if you hadn't come into our lives. If you hadn't come into our lives, I would be sitting here with my wife. I wouldn't be sitting here with my friend who's filming this. I wouldn't be living where I'm living. All of those things were because of the words that came through you, that came from you. And one of the things that I've learned, it's really hard to receive. For me, it is really hard to receive it, because I often wonder, what does it mean to receive it? How is it supposed to feel? People, you've been doing this 50 years, and so many people have thanked you and sent you messages, and you changed my life this, and you were right about that. And after a while, you might get used to it. But when we have these moments, I think in expressing the gratitude that I have for you, and this talk is something I'm also now grateful for. So I just want to say, on behalf of all your students, thank you. We love you so much. We love you more than maybe you could ever know. And may you always know it.
I have to tell you how meaningful it is that you would say that. I know that it's like saying to someone, I love you, and forgetting to say it very often. And sometimes they forget that you do love them. And I think sometimes you feel that one is taken for granted. But I know it's not. I know people tell me sometimes they play catch up with me and they say, oh, like you've just done, they enumerate the many ways in which it's like the poem of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, How Do I Love Thee? Let Me Count the Ways. It's a lovely poem about the very same subject. I think that to really thank a person, you have to understand the value of their gift to you. Because it's hard for me to understand how much it has helped you unless you tell me. And that's where I feel thanked. It's when you tell me what it has done for you, because otherwise I can like to believe it or maybe assume that it's so. But when you tell me the way you have told me today, that's very concrete evidence of something that otherwise I can't really sort of figure,
Well, I could go on, being a stepfather and giving the love and sharing wisdom that I learned from you and through you has impacted them, and those young people need it. All the thousands of people who have come to me, I will always speak of you, and I always talk about you. I think about you. I hear your voice many times, and I hear Reicher's voice many times. I hear Amatongo's laughter many times. Those moments are eternal for me. The ways, I can't even count the ways. I literally will say that everything that I experienced and I have experienced in my life since the last 15 years of doing this work is literally a direct result of sitting in this room and being here with you and watching you, and the grace that you exhibit in this work. And I've seen a lot of channels and psychics in my life, and God bless them all, but I didn't learn from them the way I learned from you. And certainly the information and the guides who have come through you, it needs to be in Columbia University. It needs to be for forever. And we have the archives now, and all of your books that are going to be coming out, these are going to live forever. And as you live forever, as we live forever. So thank you again.
This answers my question that I have to ask myself every day, which is, what is the result of what I feel is my purpose? It's very hard to understand what it's worth until I hear somebody talk about it as you have. And that is something which I feel will always make me want to go on. Somebody said, what do you really, really want to do? And I said, I want to make a difference in people's lives. But I'm not just saying your life, but people from generations yet to come. I would like to think that this whole thing hasn't just been an interesting walk through the garden of spirits, and that we come back down to earth with nothing to do, nothing to make of it. I think it's something that encourages humans to be human, and the word human and humble have a similar root. What makes us human is our humility and our ability to be human in each other's company. I feel also that there are times when we have to remember the old saying is, I didn't cause it, I can't control it, and I can't cure it. There are things which simply are. Things which we have to accept as part of the challenge of being alive on this planet at this time. And one day, I won't be in this body anymore. I'll be looking down. I'll be somebody's spirit guide.
Right.
Maybe yours.
I'll tell you, just come through me. You can still do circles on the other through me.
No, that's lovely. And I want to thank you for coming here to hear me out on this.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a great gift you give to me today.